My name is Amina Mabrouk, founder of Aspire Learning Tools, and we make games for Muslim kids. In addition, we love to provide content and resources for Muslim parents and educators. Let's face it, at some point in time as Quran teachers, we all get a little, how to say this nicely, predictable. We get in the habit of teaching the same basic structure of a lesson over and over again. The problem with this is we lose Muslim youth's attention or fail to capture it in the first place, which leads to disengagement, loss of interest, or misbehavior in your Quran class. So here are the top 5 tips to liven up your Quran teachings. Tip number 1. This is one of my all-time favorite tips. If I'm looking at a lesson plan that needs a creative perspective, I will choose 1 or 2 attributes to drive home the lesson I'm teaching. For an example, Surah Al-Asr, chapter 103, verses 1 to 3. I start by explaining to my students, Surah Al-Asr is an early Meccan surah. It utilizes time as a witness to human history. Time has seen the destruction of evil and the dominance of good. Time is a creation of Allah the Almighty, and all its creations are affected by time in one way or another. So one of the many attributes that makes Surah Al-Asr unique is the importance of time. Take it a step further and discuss ways with your youth during your Quran lesson on how they can utilize time wisely. Use prophetic sayings or a hadith such as 5 things before 5. Your youth before your old age, health before sickness, wealth before poverty, free time before preoccupation, and your life before death. So the 2 main points that you can drive home to your Muslim youth in your Quran class is youth before old age, because of course they have their youth, they're very young at that age, and their free time before occupation. They become busy and adults and have responsibility. Tip number 2. Quran journal. A Quran journal is a healthy outlet in which your students to express themselves and contemplate on ways to apply the surah learned in class. For an example, Surah Al-Asr talks about utilizing time wisely. So use the Quran journal to self-reflect and self-analyze and have your youth contemplate on ways to use their time wisely. And this is a really good time to actually incorporate the hadith, youth before old age, and using your time before your occupation. You can then take it a step further in your Quran class to open up the discussion on how they all were able to utilize time wisely and how they were able to shift certain behaviors in order to use time wisely as Muslim youth. Tip number 3, use videos in your Quran class. If you don't use video regularly, arrange to show one. Take the extra steps to borrow the necessary equipment to make it happen for your Quran class. Or find a YouTube video that will reinforce the concept being taught in your Quran class. Tip number 4. For some reason, when we're teaching Muslim teens, we don't always think of events in the news. This is a huge mistake. Tying in current events are an easy way to make a lesson relevant and timely. Tip number 5, creative participation. Allow students to create something. Tie in an interesting activity with your Quran lesson where they are creating a video on their iPhone or a poster project. Here's an example of a hands-on activity for your Muslim teens in your Quran class. Quran Fact Lab Book. A lab book is a pop-up book you can use, and at times you can use it for students to review their test. The lab book is a multi-dimensional cards that you can open up and find more information about the topic Quran. It's very interactive. The more pages you give, the more times your students can touch that book to find another answer. And this is an excellent way to help retain information about the topic Quran. Well, that concludes our video for today, the top 5 tips to liven up your Quran class. I hope you found this information beneficial. We definitely look for your comments, so please comment below. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, and spread the good deed, and I'll see you next time.